Hello, hello, beautiful soul. Here we are again with season 2, episode 4 of the Unapologetic You podcast. With me, obviously, Kiana van Deursen, because that has not changed, your coach and also your host to the Unapologetic You. This is the second time that this name is fully spoken out loud without announcing it, and it just starts to feel so right. The Unapologetic You is something that always felt right for me. It just took some time, yeah, well, to get out, to get up some space and to feel right, not just for me but also for my audience, for my community, for you. Thank you so much for being here. This is a very, very interesting journey, especially through the liberation letters, especially, yeah, with the first one where it was about the moment the curtain pulled back, and then when the second one came, the letter that I never really wanted to write. Today, I've got part three for you. Part three was very, very liberating for me. And also, it's just a really, really great follow up of everything that happened before. Part three, liberation letter number three, is about the year that I became my own beginning. Me and my deep titles always, I know, right? But it is really how I see it, to be fair. It was my own beginning. And I'm super, super, super excited to share this with you. Even though I know I have to be vulnerable, even though I know that there is no way back. And I'm happy about that, honestly, because not that many people understand what it feels like. Or, well, some people do understand what it feels like to go through such a crazy ass change, but not why it just shapes a person in the way that it does. And that's exactly why I want to give you a bit more insights. I want you guys to get to know me. I want you guys to understand where my fire comes from and why I do exactly what I do. And yeah, well, everything that comes from the background. So here we are in the Unapologetic You podcast, talking about my liberation letters. So, liberation letter number three, the year I became my own beginning. So, I personally think there is a moment in every person's life when they stop trying to hold themselves together and to just let themselves become. And for me, that moment had a name. It was 25. And I always say 25 because I see my age 25. That was the age that I had when I split from my ex-partner. I see 25 as such a beautiful age to be set free and to finally get to reinvent yourself according to your own terms without anybody putting any kind of input into it. It's not the age that I fell apart. Some people would say that I did, but it's not the age that I fell apart, but it was the age that I was set free at after pretty crazy circumstances, after all. I didn't walk out of my old life gently. I burst out of it. I was screaming, I was crying, I was laughing, I was shaking. And to be a bit more precise, I was doing all of that on the floor of a New York hotel room, with the city roaring beneath me, and my very best friend who held space like a warm, grounded, unshakable anchor. It wasn't just New York, it was the environment, the energy, and the conversations that we had, the emotional safety and the emotional chaos all at once. It was for me, really, with my best friend in that hotel room in New York. It was a trusted space inside a wild city. A wild city I do feel closest to home in. And it was a perfect storm for a woman who was finally ready to rise. And my good God, did I rise? I didn't come back slowly. It came back like a wave that had been building for years, a wave I had felt from far, far, far away. And once I knew I would eventually crash over me and the man that I just become, the version of Kiana that I had ignored over the years, that I had suppressed or even postponed. In New York, I finally felt seen again, deeply, unapologetically seen. And not because somebody validated me, but because I finally stopped hiding from myself. And this, for me, was at the absolute biggest thing. I stopped hiding from myself. Because when I was sat in that room, in the city, and in that energy field of me and my best friend, I cried until something in me unclenched. I screamed until something in me broke open, and then I smiled. And I'm getting again goosebumps talking about it because I remember like it was the day yesterday. It was not because everything was okay, but it felt like I was finally coming home. I was coming home to me, to a version of me had already met in certain flashes, but I couldn't really, build a proper picture of. So trial and error is liberation. When I came back from New York, I didn't return as the girl who left. I first of all wanted to leave Dubai, actually. I was thinking about that while I was in New York, that I was going to leave Dubai and start a life elsewhere. But then again, I thought Dubai is such a safe, stable city for me at the moment, and I'm going through so much already. So why would I throw my life away again to start over again? So yeah, I decided to stay and to try again by myself and with my two kitties. And when I returned as a woman who had realized that she was free to try. And trust me, that was my biggest turning point. I stopped asking myself, is this allowed? And I started asking, how does this feel in my body? And personally, for me, that shift changed everything because trial and error became my medicine, my teacher and my playground at the same time. I allowed myself to explore my desires without shame, without apology, and without justification. Again, not to be wanted but because I wanted myself. I experimented, I tasted life, I followed curiosity instead of all the rules that I was once given. I explored fantasies I had once buried because they didn't fit in the shape I was told to live in. I really became unapologetically me through trial and error. And also, I discovered that my body always kind of knew the truth, long before my mind dared to admit it. So when desire became again, well, that's all about sexual freedom. Sexual freedom after the breakup was for me never about sleeping around or performing for the world. Not at all, actually. And it was about this. Sexual freedom to me means to be whoever the fuck you want to be for yourself, not for validation from the outside. So instead of asking yourself, what will somebody else think of me? I always ask myself, what do I crave? What lights up my body? What makes me feel alive? What makes me feel powerful and deeply, deeply me? And I realized at some point that my life force energy is sexual energy, not just sex, but the curiosity, the creativity, the confidence, the sensuality. So I definitely let myself explore my kinks. I let myself explore desires. I let myself explore pleasure. And not to prove anything to anybody, but to understand myself in the most intimate, raw, and honest way possible. Because that was the only way how I could become bolder, how I could become braver, more honest to myself, more grounded in my body than I had ever been before. And that was exactly what I needed. That was the confidence that I needed as a single lady in such a big city, as a mom of two little kitty cats. So I had to cut loose the boxes I was born into. For me, reinvention meant unlearning the cultural, emotional, and relational boxes that were never made for me. I didn't just step out of these old boxes or this old conditioning. Good God, I ripped it off my skin. I let go of expectations. I let go of the roles I had outgrown, and I let go of the people who belonged to older versions of me. And yeah, that was not easy because these are the boxes that you're usually used to. And I wanted to break free from them like more than anything ever before. So I let go of the idea that I need to be acceptable or agreeable or digestible because hell no, I don't. I need to be that for me. I was born to be felt, not born to be managed. I accepted that the only way I truly evolve is by experiencing life directly because I cannot be taught by observation like I can't. I learn through living it. Trial, error, curiosity, experience, reflection, self honesty, repeat. Trial, error, curiosity, experience, reflection, self honesty, repeat. So that basically became my formula, which turned into my liberation and my rebirth. And yeah, well, the woman who was born from all this, goodness gracious, is she ruthless? She's sensual. She's also soft where she chooses to be, but also sharp where she needs to be. She's the woman who says yes to life with a recklessness that actually is wisdom. A woman who is inspired by the fear of being average, which I have always, always been, and a woman who wants to be loved deeply but will always remain free. I'm the woman who refuses cages, labels, limits, and ceilings. Because when Kiana is engaged, she escalates in a good way and she becomes unstoppable. So I always get asked, like, Kiana, like, how would you, yeah, like, how would you summarize this reinvention? Because holy moly, this was something crazy. This was such a rough patch. But how would you summarize it? So I would say that I was set free at the age of 25. I rebuilt myself from the body outward. I chose trial and error over perfection. I chose desire over permission. And I finally chose myself fully. And yeah, that was the beginning of the woman I am now. And also the woman that I will never abandon again. Whew. Hmm. That was intense. Good God, Liberation Letter 3 was really intense. It was a different kind of intensity than 1 and 2. Because 1 and 2 were a bit more painful, and this was really about this reinvention. But while I'm talking here to this little microphone, I get tears in my eyes. My voice cracks up, and that means a lot because I poured my heart into these liberation letters, and I'm really really happy that I get to share them with you guys. It's wonderful. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for willing to understand where my fire comes from because it's undeniable, to be fair, but it's always interesting to figure out where certain behavioral patterns come from. So thank you for, yeah, for being here and for listening to my podcast, to the unapologetic you. This is amazing. I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.